my very first video of Diablo 3, Reaper of Souls, which is available on PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Today, I'm going to be bringing you a video that's basically going to be a game guide for all you new players out there that are totally new to Diablo, and kind of break things down a little bit for you guys so that you guys know what exactly it is you're going to be getting into. The first topic I'd like to cover, I see a lot of controversy out there. A lot of people say, is the game worth buying? It's a very controversial subject because Diablo 2 was a hit. Everybody loved it. It was a great game. And we're not knocking Diablo 3 here, but there's some aspects of the game that it lacks compared to Diablo 2. But Blizzard is doing its best to make the game as great as they can with what they have, and I have a good feeling that they're going to continue doing that in the future, and that we will see that later on, and hopefully later in Diablo 4 will be the best of Diablo 2 and Diablo 3 combined. And that's what I hope, and that's just my opinion. So I would just like to start by saying, so basically if this is your first time buying the game, you're probably wondering, what the game is like, what it's about. It's basically a ARPG game. That's really main focus is the end game. What you do after the campaign and the single player. So this game focuses a lot on multiplayer and what happens after you play the campaign. So if this is your first time playing the game, you just bought the game, you have to do the campaign before you can do anything, and it's a lot of fun. The first time I had ever done the game, I thought, I might need to need a game guide or something, because I thought it was going to be a little tough. But actually in the campaign mode, the game basically it walks you through itself. It'll give you objectives, and you just have to complete each objective to move on to the next step. So we're not really going to cover campaign mode in this video, because I do feel like that's very self-explanatory. And if this is your first time playing the game and you haven't actually started your game up and you just looked online for a game guide, I suggest you go ahead, get on it, and play the campaign. And you'll kind of get a little bit of the fundamentals out of the way as well. See how the game breaks down and plays. But a lot of people ask, what do you do at the end of the game? Okay, I've finished my campaign mode. I see other players talking about this torment stuff. I'm sure you guys see that I have Torment X right here, and really this is just to mess around. Torment X is not, it's not the highest level, so I just have this up for a little messing around. But basically, the way that you want to get further along in the end game is by grinding gear. Well, a lot of players ask me and everyone else in the community, how do I get that gear? We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about objectives that you can complete on your own or with your friends. If you're on a PS4 or Xbox One, you could even do it in couch co-op. So there's a lot of stuff to do at the end game. I want to say Diablo 3 is kind of like an open world game in a way. It's like there's a lot of stuff you can do. You can either focus on doing your rifts. As you can see here, we have regular rifts, which is just a Nephilim rift, and you have greater rifts. Okay, so you can focus on just doing rifts, and as well as bounties. Bounties are basically what you're going to want to do is you'll go to this area where it says, as you can see, it says clear the den of the fallen. So if I was going to do this bounty, which I'll just pop in here to kind of give you guys a little tutorial, it says enter the den of the fallen level 1 and kill all enemies in the den of the fallen level 2. So in order to complete this bounty, I would have to complete those objectives. So as you can see here on the map, it shows me the Den of the Fallen is right here, so I'll just pop in here. then ultimately what you'd want to do is you'd want to pop in here and just complete the objective, which would be kill all enemies in the Den of the Fallen level 2. We're actually not going to do that because I want to keep this video nice and short and sweet and to the point. So, and what happens when you complete all the bounties in an act? As you can see, we're on Act 1. There are 5 acts in total. So you got Act 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And what happens after you complete all the bounties in a certain act, you will get a cash, a cash-specific reward for that bounty, you know, for the act that you're in. And you will get that from this man right here, Tyrael.
Thank you for coming here.
So, and he'll give it to you after you complete all the bounties. It'll say, return to Tyrael in town for reward. It'll pop up as a message on your screen. Make sure that you do that. The reason we want to complete bounties is because we get special crafting materials from each cache per act. So in Act 1, you get the Kondoran runes. In Act 2, you get the Chaldeum Nightshades or whatever. In Act 3, you get Ariat Ward Tapestries. In Act 4, you get Corrupted Angel Flesh. And then in Act 5, you get Westmarch Holy Water. Well, why are these crafting materials important? Well, actually, this game revolves totally around crafting materials. You can either use crafting materials to craft weapons at your artisan, which would be your blacksmith, or your jeweler. He uses some of them as well, mainly death breaths, and as well as the enchantress. The main two that you'll be using is going to be the enchantress and maybe even your blacksmith, mostly just to create you rare items, because as you play the game you'll see that there's 3 different types of items, basically, or actually 4. Well, you got regular, magical, which is blue, rare, which is yellow, legendary, which is orange, set items, which are green, ancient legendaries, which is basically just an affix, and that can be on set items as well as regular legendary items. And now in patch 2.5 we have as well primal ancient legendaries. So those are all the items that you can find, and those are going to be the items that you want ultimately. So, you know, if you're coming out of campaign and you've got a bunch of like yellow and blue items, as you can see here, I don't have any yellow or blue items or anything like that. We don't really use yellow and blue items, so you're going to want to farm or hunt for those items. A lot of people say, well, how am I supposed to do that? Well, you can use the rifts, you know, by doing greater rifts or regular rifts, or you can go to Kanai's Cube over here, and we'll cover this real quick. So the first recipe says extract legendary power. As you can see, it has the act specific bounty materials we were talking about, and they are required in order to extract a legendary power. Now, what does this mean exactly? It says extract a legendary power. Well, basically, legendary items have an affix. Every legendary item is different. Some of them don't have any affixes at all. For example, the Witching Hour. It doesn't have any. As you can see here, I have Chalonyx Chain. It says using War Cry increases the movement speed for you and allies affected by 38% for 10 seconds. I want to cover this topic real quick because if you can see here with me that it says 38% and that's highlighted in blue. What that means is this item rolls on a range. Generally, we want to cube items that roll on a range. Why? Because when we cube the items that roll on a range, we get the max. For example, Mantle of Channeling. As you can see here, it says 25%. When I found these, I believe mine was at like 21 or 22, but when you put it in the cube, it gives you the maximum amount, as if you found the perfect stat on it. So it's very important that if you find items that roll on a range, try your best to cube them so that you can get that extra bonus damage or buff or whatever it is. It may be cooldown, could be damage, just depends on the item. The next one we're going to cover is Reforged Legendary. As you can see, this one's a little bit more costly, but this one is very important because we can reforge any legendary item that we have, and we have a chance for that item to become either ancient or primal. Very important here. If you are trying to build a legacy of Nightmare builds, I highly suggest that you would reforge legendaries so that you can get ancient items, and just be prepared that you will have to have a lot of crafting materials. The next one, and probably the most used one by me, and I'm sure a lot of you viewers out there, is going to be the upgrade rare item. So what this lets us do is we can take a yellow item that we find either on the ground or from our blacksmith, and I'm going to demonstrate this one, and we can throw it in the cube just like so, and boom, it turns it into an ancient item. It's pretty cool. This is very helpful in farming for specific items. Set items can come out of the cube. Any item can come out of the cube. It's great because you can get all the items that you're looking for. It can be very costly, and it's very hard still with the cube to find the items that you want. You have to have patience, but eventually you will find them. And the way this game works is you start piece by piece, and next thing you know, it'll come together and you'll be like, wow, my character is so much stronger. The next one I want to cover is convert set item. This is also very important. If you're anything like me and you keep getting bad drops, you'll have it where you might get the helmet of a certain set over and over and over and over again. What I mean by that is I might get this helmet, Eyes of the Earth. As you can see, I even have 2 in my inventory, numerous amounts of times. What convert set items lets us do is we could put that second helmet in there, and it'll convert it to another piece of armor from that set. So I could put the helmet, and it could ultimately give me the chest piece, boots, gloves, pants, etc. It's very important when looking for a full set. Most of the builds in this game revolve around sets, so this is very important. We will be using this a lot, and as you can see, it's not very costly. Remove level requirement. We don't really use this one very often. If you're starting off with a fresh character, you could use this, although I really don't see the point in it. But you can use this. Convert gems. So basically, if you put 9 Marquise emeralds in here, and then you put, let's say you wanted to transform those emeralds to rubies, then you put essence of ruby in there, you have a chance that it will convert it either into the same 9 or even possibly more. It may even give you 25 Marquise rubies. So this is very helpful, especially early on in the beginning of the game, when you don't have any gear and you're farming for your gems, and you need specific gems so that you can roll stats through the artisans, through the enchantress. So that's very important. Now, as you can see, a couple other recipes. We have convert to reusable parts, convert to arcane dust, convert to crystals. So basically this takes, if I have, reusable parts, I can transform them into arcane dust, veiled crystals, and vice versa. So it's very helpful when you have maybe a whole bunch of crystals but not a whole bunch of reusable parts or whatever. But I don't necessarily use these too often. Augment ancient. Now this is extremely important. What this does is, for every ancient item that you have, if you add a legendary gem, as you can see here, it says requires rank 30 gem, and it has a picture of a weapon. So if I put a rank 30 gem in there and I'm trying to augment an ancient item, which in this case be my sword, and I put the ruby in here or the amethyst in here, I would get that on my item. So an amethyst, I believe, on an item on a weapon would give us, Let's see here. On a weapon, it would give us life per hit. So you would get that added to your ancient item, and it's 5 per level of the gem. So if I put a level 30 gem in there, that would essentially give me an extra 150 life per hit on this sword here without having to re-roll a property. Now that's pretty low. Generally we want to put like a rank 80 gem or a rank 90 gem in there so that we can get the most. Actually, you really want a rank 100, but in order to get a rank 100, you got to be clearing 100 Greater Rift 100 and higher. So it is a little challenging, and in order to do that, you would have to have a build that can clear that high, and we'll go over all that in our later videos. And I encourage you guys, to just be curious and go out there and look, search for builds as well. And I as well will be making build videos for classes and builds that I feel like are very viable and capable of clearing Greater Rift 90 plus. So that's one way to get the items that you need in order to really shine in the game. We covered another way, which would be going to do rifts, either Greater Rifts or regular Nephilim Rifts. One thing I want to cover with the new players out there, how to get the cube. So after you complete campaign, you will be given the option to select adventure mode. Definitely do that. Hop into adventure mode and put it on whatever difficulty you feel comfortable with, and it's going to pop you in, and it's going to look exactly like this. Okay, it's going to be completely different from your normal campaign, and you're probably going to be wondering, what the world do I do? Well, the rifts, bounties, and honestly, if it's your first time, you're going to want to go get your cube immediately. So I'm going to show you guys exactly where to get the cube at. You'll want to go to Act 3, Ruins of Shesharon. Now, I have already found the cube on this character, so basically you'll just want to explore. And after you get through exploring, you'll come to an area that will take you to another part of the ruins. And in there, you will find the cube. I'm going to see if we can just find it real quick while we have the stream going. So the cube is very important. Go ahead and find that first. And then you can start doing your bounties and your rifts, if you want my opinion. I would definitely do those. Find the cube first. It's imperative to have the cube. Very imperative. So I'm actually not going to go through all this so that we can focus on the guide just for today. But you would find it in the Ruins of Shesharon, okay? So the next thing I want to cover after that is a couple other things that you guys would be able to do. If maybe you just enjoy playing the game, you enjoy just cutting the monsters up, but you don't really want to push the Greater Rifts or the Rifts, there's a lot of stuff you can do to keep you busy and just tear monsters up in the process. One of those being, there's specific set dungeons. After you find all pieces to a set, you can go find your set dungeon. Okay? So if you complete the set dungeon with the given objective, you will receive, I don't think you receive a reward at all, actually. Sorry about that, y'all. But what you want to do is try and complete all of them for all the different classes, so that creates a challenge to find all the sets for all the different characters and to complete all the set dungeons. And it's very fun, and you don't have to put it on a high level torment in order to do these. You could put it on a very low level torment if you'd like, and just complete the set dungeon. The set dungeons actually have their own difficulty kind of pre-programmed, so it doesn't really matter. But they're a ton of fun and just a good way to kill time. And after you complete all the sets for all the different characters, you actually get some really cool wings, and I believe even a pennant. So it is worth it, to do those. Plus, like I say, it really is a lot of fun. So that's one thing that you could do if you just really would like to just play the game and you don't really care about, pushing greater rifts. Then that's something that you could do to keep yourself busy and just have fun. Another thing that you could do, which we kind of touched base on that in what we were previously talking about, you could farm for different transmogs or wings, which are other cosmetic items, and pets, pennants, all different types of things. Now, most of the wings you can't actually farm for. The only ones would be the falcon wings and the cosmic wings, which I still don't have. And the falcon wings, they only spawn in Gardens of Hope Tier 1, and the cosmic wings, they spawn in a special land that you find by killing rainbow goblins, called Whimsydale. Okay? So, and you have to kill the princess in order to, I think Princess Lillian or whatever her name is, you have to kill her, and then it's still not a 100% drop chance. I've been farming for those wings forever, and they are very tough to get, so it will definitely waste a lot of time. You will probably play the game for hours just trying to find the wings, so that's something to do that is definitely fun and very time consuming. So I highly recommend, if you don't want to push the greater rifts and stuff like that, farming for those wings as well as the falcon wings, and then farming for the pets. How do you farm for pets, you say? Well, that's actually a little bit easier said than done. The only way you can get pets, with the exception of a few, is by killing menagerous goblins. And they do have a very low spawn rate, so they are a little tough to find. But basically, you just wander all over the world of Sanctuary, go to anywhere you want, and look for the goblin. And when you find a menagerous goblin, if you kill him before he casts his little portal, he will drop you a pet. As you can see here, I have the little, we'll pull it up, cow right there. That one actually didn't drop from a goblin, and we won't cover that in this video, but I will show you one that did drop from a goblin. This guy right here, this little kid, he came from a goblin. So there's all different types of pets that you can find, and it's a ton of fun, and it's very time consuming. So that's another thing that you could do if you're not wanting to push the greater rifts and things like that. Another thing that I feel like you could do is, of course, just wander around, kill the bosses, I mean, there's all different types of stuff in here. Levels, search for the goblins, go to the vault. In order to go to the vault, you either have to find a goblin, find a bandit shrine. The goblin has to open a portal to the vault, which is extremely rare, or have a puzzle ring. There's also certain items that take you to other special places, and you'll know that you have that special item because in front of the extract legendary power, it will have question marks out beside it. So, if you see those question marks, just realize that the item will be consumed in the process, so you'll lose that item, but it will take you to a special place. I'm not going to ruin the surprise, but there is an item that takes you to a special place, as well as the puzzle ring will take you to a vault. And in the vault, excuse me, you can find all kinds of goodies, from crafting materials to legendary items. It's a whole lot of fun. But really, mainly, guys, the focus of this game is going to be the gear grinding. Just going out there, doing the bounties, getting the materials that you need. bumping up the torment level as you get more set items so that you get a better drop rate. The higher the torment, the higher the drop rate, okay, guys? I just want everybody to realize that and understand that the higher the difficulty level that you set the game, the more guaranteed you are that you're going to have those items that you're looking for drop. Now, I understand that it can be challenging to get to those harder difficulties while not, because you don't have those items, but it's not impossible. It just takes time and patience. And also, another thing that I would suggest is joining a multiplayer game and just kind of explaining to whoever it is that you're playing with your situation. Don't ask for items. I do not recommend that. You can, but I'm not going to recommend that to any new player. I feel like that you should farm for your items. That's part of the game, and what makes it fun is finding the item that you've been looking for so long, either by getting it through the cube or just a drop. But it is nice if you're looking for a specific item and it takes forever, and your buddy has one, and you have something you're willing to trade. Say, hey, I'll give you this if you give me that. That's nice. But as far as just saying, hey, my character sucks, can you give me some items? I really don't recommend doing that, y'all. Just go out there, give it your best, be patient. It'll take a little bit of time, but it'll be worth it, I promise. When I started finding some good items, I was ecstatic. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool, this is so much fun. Because once I started finding those items, my character, he really developed, and it was easier to start playing the higher difficulties. But guys, the real main focus of this game is going to be greater rifting. Okay? So in order to greater rift, you have to complete a regular rift. After you kill the regular rift guardian, he will drop greater rift keystones. Now, for each greater rift you open, it'll consume 1 keystone. The higher you go up, the harder it gets. After you get to about greater rift 65, it starts getting pretty difficult. Reason being, because at greater rift, I believe it's 65, maybe it's 70, that's where torment 13 starts, and when the higher you go, it's actually like it's bumping it up even more from torment 13. And when you start getting into the really high greater rifts, like some of my other characters have cleared very high greater rifts, it starts to get very challenging. And the only way to push those greater rifts, guys, is by getting ancient gear, primal gear, and then making sure that you use Chaldean's Despair, the augment ancient item in the cube. Where'd the cube go? Over here. In order to bring those stats up, either by adding vitality. If you find yourself dying a lot, you want to add vitality to as much as you can, or life per hit, or adding strength, that kind of thing. So, augmenting it costs a lot, and it sucks because you got to sacrifice your gem, but it's extremely important. I actually don't have any augments on this character right here, but I do on my demon hunter. So, augments become very important. They're very imperative. If you want to push the highest greater rifts, you have to. So, I encourage all you new players out there to play around with the game. Experiment. Don't just look at these YouTube videos or, read online about builds and all that. I really encourage you guys, play with the skills. Try and learn the mechanics, okay? A lot of this game revolves around buffs, from items, and just see what pairs well with other items. For example, the Wrath of the Waste set with the Barbarian. What's it called? Yeah, the Wrath of the Waste set from the Barbarian. It gives us a buff to our Whirlwind, but there's another item here, our Skull Grasp, that gives us increased Whirlwind damage. So, you got certain items that just run hand in hand, and it's like, okay, I see this item benefits this item as well, so, just experiment with that and see what works for you. Also, there are going to be a lot of people that do release build videos. I also will be releasing build videos to kind of give you guys some pointers. But you know, still play around with the skills, play around with it and everything, and just try it out and see. Everything will move fluidly. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You know, scrap it and try again. One more thing I want to cover with you guys before I end the video. I know there's probably still a whole bunch that I could cover, and I will at a later date. And please leave any comments, or if you have any questions or concerns, go ahead and just drop those in the comment section below. But another thing that I want to cover, guys, is the armory, okay? So basically what this is, this lets you save a build for your character, save like a setup for your character. So like I could save this set as the Whirlwind Barbarian or whatever you want to call it. But the problem with this, guys, is if you're playing on console, specifically PS4, I'm not so sure about Xbox One, it's bugged. There's been reports of people losing their gems and stuff like that. So guys, just be careful with the armory at first, but it is very helpful as well, you know, because you can save like your speed farm builds here, and then like your greater rift pushing build could be in slot 2. It's like, okay, I found all my crafting materials for my speed farming build, so let me switch to my greater rift pushing build and start pushing some higher greater rifts now that I've got more crafting materials. And you could have just one where it's like, you know, oh, this is just my mess around build or whatever, you know. So it is useful, but just beware if you're on console. Been reports of bugs, so I would hate to see somebody lose their gem, especially if you have like a rank 90 Gogok of Swiftness or like a Bane of the Stricken or something like that, to be lost. Boy, that would break your heart. Oh, that brings me to one last point, guys. Legendary gems. The way you get legendary gems, you'll hear legendary gems are very important in this game. They give you as well an extra buff. For example, in this one I have, well, it's very low leveled, rank 30 Gogok of Swiftness. And as you can see, it says that you gain swiftness with every attack, increasing your attack speed by 1% and your dodge by 0.80, and that, as you can see, is blue, so that's on a range. Basically, that's going to go up as we level it up. For 4 seconds, this effect stacks up to 15 times, and as you level up a gem, it gains a second property when you hit level 25. It says gain 1% cooldown reduction per stack of swiftness. So there's all different types of legendary gems in the game. The only way you can find them, and I gotta reiterate this, the only way you can find them is going to be through greater rifts, with the exception of the Boon of the Hoarder, which will drop in the vault. But you can also find that gem through your greater rifts as well. So if you're looking for those gems, guys, and you're like, where are those legendary gems that everybody talks about? Well, guys, they're in the greater rifts. You have to kill the greater rift guardian before the time elapses, and you will get that gem drop, okay? Guys, this is my first video, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I enjoyed making it for you. I really appreciate if you guys could leave any questions or concerns, your comments, you know, drop them in the comment section. Let me know what you thought about the video. I know I didn't show any real playtime today, but that's because I really wanted to try my best to cover all the topics and kind of help you guys, especially the new players, out, and tell y'all what you guys need to do as far as endgame goes. So guys, if you like the video, please hit the subscribe button, and there will be more videos coming in the future. Thank you very much.